welcome to Chat Off the Mat. I'm Jennifer Aish.
And I'm Rose Whippich.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us today. We're going to do a quick episode about the summer solstice and tapping into that energy. And then we're going to answer a couple of listener questions that we received, and we're very excited about that as well. So stay tuned to the very end to hear our thoughtful answers to the thoughtful questions that we received. How you doing today, Rose?
I am doing great. It's a beautiful day here and just enjoying gardening and the sun and all that wonderful energy from the outdoors. So it's been great. Yeah,
That
how are
nice
you?
solar energy. I'm great too.
Yeah.
It's intensely hot in Texas right now. While we're recording this, we're having a 100+ degree heat wave. So I'm really getting that solar energy to the fullest.
Yeah. Bank it up, right? Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah, yeah.
much. Well, we have coming upon us the summer solstice. It's coming up soon, not too long after, about a week after this episode
Mhm.
releases. So we decided to put this out just so that you could be mindful, listeners. You can be mindful of the energy and just kind of what it means and how you can tap into it. So, depending on where you are, the summer solstice will happen around June 20th or 21st. It's the longest day and shortest night of the year. So, we've been working up since wintertime to longer days. And now we've reached the peak, the summit of the longest day, summer solstice. So after this, the days do begin to get shorter. However, it is still considered midsummer. People still honor the sun, and depending on where you are geographically, this is feels like the beginning of summer for a lot of people. And I say that with a little asterisk because geographically, like where I am, it's felt like summer for quite some time, since about May time frame. So you always can tap into where you are and how you feel energetically with the seasons because it does change a little bit from here to there. So midsummer, summer solstice really is associated with abundance. So as we were talking about with our spring wellness or spring wellness and all that, we're talking about planting those seeds, and now they're growing and they're becoming abundant. So we've got the abundance still association with that fertility, power, beauty, maturity, expansion. So you think about that fiery solar energy and how expansive fire can be. So it's a great energy. And a lot of times people will celebrate by doing bonfires and giving thanks for abundance and for what is growing. The summer solstice to autumn equinox. Also, if you're thinking about the tides of the seasons, this is the reaping tides. So what you're growing is you can start to maybe harvest a little bit. Farmers are working really hard, taking care of the crops and harvesting them. We're not in total full harvest, obviously, because we have that in autumn as well. But so it is considered the reaping tide of the year because we're moving towards autumn from here. And tides can be seen as stages of your life as well. So maybe you want to take time to see the natural progression within yourself. And, so spring to summer is a growing tide, autumn to winter is the resting tide, and winter to spring is the cleansing tide. And we are in the reaping tide. So, Rose, did you have any wonderful notes too about summer solstice as well?
Yes, and I love what you said about the summer solstice and
Yeah.
I think it's just a beautiful time to celebrate. And the summer solstice to me provides a lot of positive energy. When I
Mm-hmm.
think about the sun, I think about how good I feel when the sun shines. We're
Mm-hmm.
we're in winter months and even in the springtime here, it's like you never know. It could be cloudy, it could be rainy, it could be storms, which are pretty cool. Spring storms I love.
Mm-hmm.
But that sun, when it hits upon you, how do you feel? You feel ignited. You feel that passion within you, that fire within you as you're talking about that inner flame. So the summer solstice is really a time to celebrate, welcome the beginning of summer, to reignite any desires that may have fallen away or been ignored, to revisit some of your intentions that we planted during the spring equinox,
Mm-hmm.
and also to let go, to release or burn away those things that no longer serve us, and take the time to think about what that may be, allowing the allowing this energy to be almost celebrating, as I think I said that already, just celebrating this time of year. It's just a nice ritual for us to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's also were you going to say something? I'm sorry.
No, I was in agreement. I
Yeah,
was uh-huh.
right. It's like
I
celebratory, you know, like
yeah.
it's like almost like a birthday.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a time to celebrate the cycles of nature
Mm-hmm.
and life. And you mentioned that, like, in the winter we go inward and we reflect, where in the summer we're ready to shine that light.
Mm-hmm.
um so having the confidence and the power to create what we need, it's a good time for us to feel that, um, to allow that, to acknowledge that, and tap into that energy to move forward on and step forward in the direction of wherever you want to go in life. So I always allow for time to, I don't know, just to do a lot of reflecting and a lot of journaling. I know we have some ritual or ceremonies that we're going to talk about in a moment, that we like to share and we like to
Mm-hmm.
do. And if I can also add that, here a couple of questions that I know I ask myself, is I do ask about myself, like, what is meaningful to me? um, you know we do so many things in life, and I think as I get older, I try to pause and find out what I really need to spend my energy on and not waste my energy
Mm-hmm.
on things. And also, what do I want to do in my life? I mean, that always changes. And there are times when life is a little challenging and you're kind of stuck and you don't want to move forward, but never stop and allow for that energy of the summer to reignite some of that passion that may have fallen away. And that passion could be towards your dreams. That passion could be that inner desire, your own sensuality and your own passion, and that. Um, so yeah, and let your intuition guide you. I know I try to. I tap into that and trust all that wonderful spirit energy as well. So yeah, that's my
That's
take
lovely.
on the summer solstice.
Yeah, and I love when you say tap into intuition because that's part of like taking the time to step back and really see how you feel with each season and stuff like that, I think. And
Yeah,
maybe this, maybe just bookmarking this day and just taking a moment to see how you feel on this
yeah.
day. But joy is a huge thing. I think joy, and this is the time where we're moving into that full yang energy, you know? So,
Mm,
and we tend to be very joyous and busy. I mean, I always think about summer. Summer's like the busiest time.
yep.
Don't you feel like just once summer hits, don't you just, you're like going everywhere, you're like boom 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 and
Yeah,
going.
yeah. You have a lot of physical energy, like that inner fire, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And I just wanted to say just tap into a little bit of like Qigong and Ayurveda because Rose and I always talk about these things as well. In Qigong, in traditional Chinese medicine, summer is known as explosive. And you can see this theme, like no matter what culture you're coming from, I think, can you think of anybody that wouldn't consider summer to be fiery and explosive? And
no.
yeah, yeah. And so culturally, almost every culture really is led, especially for a long time, by nature, even though we've kind of removed ourselves from recognizing that. So I love the reminder of how we've developed culturally based on from a long time ago. We were really led a lot more by nature, and then modern technology has
Yeah,
enabled us to not have to tap into it as much. So it's a good practice. But anyways, I digress. In Qigong, summer is known as explosive. The dragon is associated with the fire element,
right.
and in Ayurveda, Pitta dosha comes into real dominance here, and also It's about heat, and both of them are really about transformation. And Rose was saying too, revisiting goals and stuff. This is really a transformative time for a lot of people, and it, like I said, as a disclaimer, it can be different from for everyone, and that's part of you tapping into those sensations. But yeah, so traditional Chinese medicine, you know, it's a strong heat energy. Mars is the planet
Mm.
associated, you know, southern energy, and we do tend to think of the South as hot, at least in the United States here. The yang energy, and it's a great time for you to absorb energy from nature, and to think about like the color red, red chi, red jade.
Mm.
And then Ayurveda, like I said, Pitta dosha, the fire association as well, the sun, digestion, warmth. So our kapha energy is starting to decrease, our nourishing kapha energy, that protective. And so, again, based on location, because where I am and where Rose is, we're feeling summer at a
Yeah.
different time, you know? So,
Yeah.
yeah, so I just wanted to share a few of those little, because we're always talking about like yoga and qigong and stuff, and I wanted to bring in those philosophies with it as well,
Mm.
because you can incorporate practices and stuff with those.
And there's also the astrological connection that
Mm-hmm.
the first day of summer, the summer solstice, is also the first day that the sign of Cancer, the sun sign, it goes into the sun goes into Cancer, and Cancer is the watery sign and the emotional. So reflection, nurturing sign, the mother sign. So, a lot of that people have, um, they entertain, they have people over, they like to cook, they like to have, company. And it's that whole nesting in the summer and celebrating with family and friends, which is a beautiful time. And I'm getting these tingles because for me, I love having that. And I was even thinking like, you know, I gotta get Jen. I gotta get you over here while my
Yeah.
backyard looks pretty, and we can hang out in the summer. Maybe it's not 100-degree weather here, which is I'm grateful for, but
I know.
it's just a time for. I just love having people over and just hanging outside and under the stars and just talking and reconnecting with people. So it's a great time for that. And I just wanted to go over, and I know you have some things on ceremonial things that you do.
Yeah, a couple of things. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
start. Yeah.
So for me, I like to be outdoors a lot in the summer because I find gardening for me is very, very grounding, which I'm doing a lot of now. But always, we say this a lot: going outdoors and connecting with nature, closing your eyes and feeling the warmth of the sun upon your skin, even if it's cloudy or if it's not visible. Even imagine that in your mind's eye, the warmth of that sun. And even imagine a ray of light from the sun connecting with your solar plexus, because the solar plexus is the also that this area, the subtle energy body in our system that's connected to this time of year, where their flame, where our confidence and our worthiness is, and allow that area to feel ignited and feel passion and feel connected. And the other thing is connect or reconnect with your inner child. We often forget what it was like to be young. And I know in the summer, we used to go to the beach every week. And I still remember those days, or I'll hear a song on the radio and I'll think about that. And it'll just brings me such joy. So finding ways to remember those times in your life when you were younger that made you feel good, and maybe do things that are fun. Summertime, just kind of like loose, take your shoes off and let your hair down and get your beach waves going, or whatever, the salt in your skin from the ocean. um, Take out your favorite crystals or those associated with the solar plexus, like the tiger's eye or citrine and carnelian. I have them surrounding me. Pyrite is a beautiful crystal or stone for abundance. And this is a time of abundance as well and manifesting. And journal, channel your guides, close your eyes and ask for your higher guides or spirit guides to come through and show you in your mind's eye what needs to be your area of focus, what your area of focus should be. And or even in the written word, you can ask spirit to allow you to channel and just kind of write down, this is kind of like a brain dump, and see where that takes you. So these are just some of the things that I do for the summer solstice, some of my own little ceremonial things. I love
Those are great.
rituals. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's a lot. That's very similar to what I was going to say. So I will sum up everything and just say that yes, go out into the sun, and you can meditate. I would recommend not doing it when it's too hot out. So maybe earlier in the day, because sometimes when we're in the high heat of summer, it can throw you out of balance a little bit because it's
Mm.
so hot and overwhelming. But just find a time where it's comfortable to be in the sun, and you can meditate, and connect with the vibrancy of this time of year. Try to feel the movement of things. If you sit out and you're able to be quiet, maybe you can hear the bees buzzing around, or the birds
Oh, I
chirping,
love
or
that.
just like the water flowing, or maybe you can even like just try to connect with all the moving energy. We have a lot of moving energy this time of year, and see if you can just like hear it around you just by closing your eyes and sitting
Mm.
and listening to it. And then also just reflect on how you feel this time of year, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, and journal that down as well. It's important to just tap into how you're feeling. Like, Rose and I can say how we feel, but how do you feel? It can be very different from how we feel as well. So I think summer solstice is a good bookmark for you to just say, hey, summer solstice today, this is really cool. Moving into this energy. Let me just take a moment, step back, take notice of myself. So,
Yeah, if I can piggyback off of what you
yeah,
just said, which I love,
yeah,
tapping into yourself, being aware of what's
yeah.
happening. And a friend of mine said that all these little points on the wheel,
Hmm.
those little turns, they're like a portal.
Yeah.
They're a portal that we need to kind of walk through and tune in and be aware of what's happening within us. And a portal to me is also like a change or a transition. And you mentioned that before, this
Hmm.
transitional time. So think about it that way, and really spend this one day that comes once a year. That's a magical time. Just spend it for yourself. Just allow that space for yourself to experience it and really nurture yourself and enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yay.
Yay, I love it. Okay, so so that's everyone, I hope. And if you have questions, Rose and I always, you can hit the link in there, ask us some questions. But should we go to we had a couple of questions we wanted to go over for the episode, unless you had something more to add.
No, no, I
Okay.
think that's good, and
Yeah.
we'll move into our question. So if
Yeah.
you want, I can.
You
Uh,
you lead us off, Mr. Rose. I love it.
okay, and
Okay.
so we have a question from one of our listeners, Felicia. She's from Scotland, which I haven't visited yet, which I would love to.
Me too.
Yeah. Um, Her question is, how does one feel energy? Great question. We talk about energy in every episode, and not just us, but you hear it everywhere. My sons watch basketball or sports, and the energy word, the E word, always comes up. So that was a great question. So everybody feels energy differently. Energy can be felt as a warmth, as a sensation of warmth or coolness. It could feel as if there's a tingling sensation. And it depends also on your body, the soft tissue. And if you do a lot of movement like Qigong, and that's that kind of um, of a practice, you can feel it on the surface of the skin. You can also feel it right underneath the skin as a movement of energy. I have felt it as a vibration inside of my body, or even a spasm. Um, I've also felt it as a rushing wave of energy, just like a movement, especially if I do joint rotations with Qigong, or, I'm rotating my hips. I will actually feel the unblocking of just moving, that type of energy. So that's ways I have felt it. I've known, or other people have described it. So those are sensations, and the way you are aware of them is just by tuning in and noticing. Um, you'll recognize what that energy movement will feel like within your body if you just tune in. What about you, Jen?
I was so I think about energy. We both do qigong, practice qigong and Reiki. But prior to that, how did I realize
Mm.
energy? And it actually took learning those. But qigong, qi means uh, energy or like life force, and gong means to work with. And you're working with that. What animates you? If you just sit back and pause and you think, okay, what's animating me right now? What's making me alive? That alone, just reflecting on that, and you will understand, like, we are that's our energy, that life force, that's what's within us, our spirit, our animus, however you want to
Yeah.
translate that. Yeah. And I think that just starting to step back and reflect and consider that, and then the more you do practice things like qigong, you can just do a few simple movements, and moving your hands with your breath and with your mind, using your mind, and you can start to tap in and feel that energy.
Mm.
So I would say that how do you know that? If you just pause and think, what's how am I alive right now? How am I living? How am I breathing? That is your life force. That is your energy.
I love that.
Yeah, thanks.
I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it can be interpreted in so many ways,
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, the physical, the spiritual, the emotional
Mm-hmm.
energy. And from day to day, it can feel differently
Mm-hmm.
for people. So I like the way we described it. It's
Mm-hmm.
totally different from our own
Yeah.
perspective, and we're
But
interested in hearing how other people
yeah,
feel
absolutely.
it as well, because they can feel it in a totally different way. They can,
Yeah.
it could be ethereal, or just in a just different way.
Absolutely. And also, I mean, in traditional Chinese medicine, they use, they believe that, illness comes from blocked energy, and they try to work on those specific areas. And
Mm.
listeners, also, we interviewed our Qigong master in our last episode, and he does talk about blocked energy, especially like with low back. Go give it a listen. He's very informed. It's the episode, our last episode that released as well.
Yeah, John Monroe,
Yeah, John
Qigong
Monroe.
master teacher. He's a
Yep.
great episode. Yeah.
Of Long White Cloud Qigong. So
Yes.
I
Mm.
highly recommend. Okay, so I got a question from Angie in New York, or we both did actually. We both get the same questions. Okay, so she asked, why is it important to practice seasonal wellness? And we actually did talk about this a little bit in this episode, kind
Mhm.
of, and we've talked about seasonal wellness with our spring wellness, winter wellness. So we do have past episodes where we talk about wellness, and we're going to come up with our summer wellness as well. We emphasize this a lot because it's important to tap into the tides of the year, because each season does represent a different part of a progression of a year. And Rose was just saying about the wheel and different portos. If you see, I see seasons as not linear but as circular, and one always flows into the other, and one supports the other in for a specific way, and one's important to settle in within for specific reasons, so that you can move into the next season and be successful within each season. So it's important for you personally to, I think, reflect on how you feel with each season as well, to know, because you may feel more creative during one season than another based on the person. I can think with, so seasonal wellness is important for your health and well being as well, so that you support what you need for that season. And so we were talking about summertime, it's very fiery. So you may want to invite in some cooling practices to help balance out that super fiery expansiveness. And the season prior to summer is spring, where we start to plant and nourish things, because now we're getting into that greater energy where things are really growing, for example. And then autumn is more of a harvest time and start to lay things to rest. And winter is more of like a nourishing and incubating things. And then it starts all over again. So each season, tapping into those with your food, with your practices and everything, really helps you be healthier with that. And then tapping into the feelings. I was thinking, because Rose is Vata dominant and I'm Pitta dominant, so we're going to feel differently during each season because of that. My disposition is more fiery. Rose is a little bit more airy. So we respond to the seasons differently, even in that sense.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add to that.
Yeah, no, for me, learning how to use food more wisely and more in season, and we talk about that in our other episodes on wellness for the seasons, has changed my life, because having issues in my stomach issues or digestive issues way like a long time ago, by incorporating more of the seasonal foods in what I eat has helped me, and that's really important, I think, to for our physical well-being, because food is vital, right? Everybody eats, and eating seasonally helps, just helps overall. So that's my biggest takeaway for the seasonal wellness. And also, like you said, just just that the emotional wellness as well. There's it's just so much. And we hope that people will tune into some of those other episodes, and tune into our next one, where we do talk about those things we should incorporate in the summer time for us to feel optimal, right, at our best, in not just physically but also mentally, emotionally. So that was an awesome question.
Yeah, I love that too,
Yeah.
because we do. And I'll tell you, there's so many things that you can unpack from these practices. And we try to, like, break them down into bite-sized pieces for you, instead of throwing everything in the kitchen sink and having it be confusing and overwhelming. I find easier to learn a little bit at a time and incorporate it into practices. So,
Yeah, because both of us have studied like Ayurveda, and there's so much. And I know we throw out a
oh
lot of
yeah,
terms out there sometimes, and we'll focus on some of more of these topics in other episodes, but there's
yeah,
just so much.
yeah.
And the information could be overwhelming, but it all serves such an amazing purpose once you learn about it, and you live your life by this wheel, this wheel that turns, and the cycles, and it's so helpful in so many
Absolutely.
ways. Yeah. So
Yeah.
thank you, both our listeners and other listeners that have sent in questions that we hope to also answer in future episodes as well. So please keep coming in with those questions and comments. We'd love to hear from all of you. And so, yeah, and so thank you for your continued support as well. We're
Yes.
very happy with the growth of our podcast, and we work hard to try to bring it elements of discussion that we hope that everyone will benefit in some way, shape, or form. And we hope to continue to do that.
Yes, yes. And just two things I wanted to add too.
Sure.
Please, everyone, if you can share this podcast with 3 people that would be amazing. Just keep sharing it. I know a lot of you have already, but it really makes your support just by sharing is big for us.
Yeah.
Also, Rose, I wrote a note down. She was talking about if you feel stuck. We did a podcast episode about how to handle being stuck. And then also, we did at the beginning of the year a goal setting episode too. So if you want to go and revisit those, if you're revisiting goals and stuff like that, please do so. And I just wanted to add those in. And so thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, and have a beautiful summer solstice celebration. And yeah, we'll see you next time on Chat
Bye.
Off the Bat.
Bye.
We want to thank you for joining us today. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to our websites and social media platforms, and to send us any email with questions or comments. We look forward to connecting with you again for some more Chat Off the Mat.